For me, being the change means that you engage with a lot of people. And we spoke about this earlier. You engage with people and not at people. And you try to understand what is happening in other people's lives and other people's circumstances. Because you can only be a change if you work with other people. And if you don't have people on your side and you don't actually know what other people are going through, then you're not going to make much change.
And I think South Africa is one of the few places in the world where it's a very nuanced and complex reality where you have to hold two ideas at the same time. So you can be excited about the country but also feel very hopeless and disappointed in where it's going. And you have to be able to manage that tension. And so being the change is stepping up to that responsibility of saying, listen, I'm making myself available to do the work in my sphere of influence.
One of the big tips that we have is to think really creatively. So at the lab and in South Africa, we use a lot of really creative ways to sort of get the message and translate the message of integrity across. So we use scenes and stop motion animations, short vox pop videos. We have really creative PowerPoints for when we're speaking to our supporters. And that sort of just involves people in a really different way and gets people thinking about integrity and the values of the lab and sort of what we want and how we want change in a different way.
I think also using creative tools is a way that we reflect youth culture and what young people are excited about. So zines are ways that young people use to communicate ideas, and we've used it as a tool in our campaigns. It's been incredibly important to us. When we first launched Integrity Icon in 2018, we made the huge misconception that because lots of people have cell phones that they would go online. And very quickly I realized that WhatsApp was how we were going to get our nomination numbers, that perhaps we should have a WhatsApp line and have an SMS line because that's what people use. So the data was telling us, the research said South Africans have, one or two cell phones, but we didn't interpret that well. And so that, it wasn't a failure per se, but it was a learning. So how do you reach people and work within costs? And it seems like such an obvious thing to come to because we all use WhatsApp and we all still SMS. But when you're thinking from a program aspect, you think, okay, I'll just make a link online and it will be accessible, and it wasn't.
Yeah, because we have so much that we see constantly on social media and so much media that we constantly are absorbing. So if the more creative you are, the more people you can grab their attention.
So there's so much noise out there on the internet and in the world, and one of the ways that you have to create or communicate an idea out there is by developing really consistent and clear and authentic messaging. So our messaging for the campaign is really simple. With Integrity Icon, the message is name and fame honest public servants. We are not in the business of doing naming and shaming work. In fact, there's an overwhelming messages out there that is concerned with that in terms of the anti-corruption and accountability space. So the naming and faming message is core in all of the areas and countries that we run our campaign. And in South Africa, it looks different from in Nepal to Sri Lanka to Nigeria. But when people think of Integrity Icon, they know for sure that the campaign is about public servants, about celebrating them, and about naming and faming. And how it looks like in the different contexts is up to the people who run the campaign.
It's really important for organizations to realize that you'll have the same message, and the message of your organization has to be consistent to whoever you speak to, but the way that you communicate it has to change. So if I'm posting something on Instagram, for example, the way I'll write on Instagram will be different to how I will talk about the work that we do, for example, with Integrity Icon, in a meeting that we have with people who might fund our work.